With no parts markup and only a $75 build fee, Redux gaming PCs are the obvious choice for gamers who demand the best without paying extra. With as little as a few clicks, you'll get a PC optimized for you and the games you play at a price that fits your budget, and all Redux PCs are backed by a 2-year warranty. To see all that Redux has to offer and to start configuring your next PC, head to the link in the description below. All right, so obviously I am late to this video. If you haven't watched, I am still recovering from COVID, and I wasn't gonna come back to work and go right into the amount of testing that it takes to bring you guys a graphics card review on day one. In fact, I'm still taking it slow, and I'm gonna give you more of an opinion piece about the 3060, because by the time this video's come out, you guys will have probably already seen 5, 10, 15, who knows how many videos about everyone regurgitating the same specs and the same marketing spiel that NVIDIA wants you to repeat. So I'm going to give you an opinion piece about this card instead, which admittedly might be a little bit more valuable than talking about the specs. So first things first, the RTX 3060, not to be confused with the 3060 Ti, has the most RAM available out of any 30 series card short of the 3090. So there's already a weird thing happening there. As everyone already knows, that is nothing more than a bunch of marketing circle jerk so everyone can start competing over the low-end cards and who has the most RAM, because we all know AMD comes out with 16 gigabytes on pretty much all of their cards. Again, a big marketing circle jerk on AMD's side, because none of that RAM matters on the lower end cards, because they can't push the resolutions at the frame rates they would need to push them to have that size frame buffer even matter. The RTX 3060 may have 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is more than the 3060 Ti, however, has a narrower bus, which means it's still not going to be able to benefit 12 gigs of VRAM, not at even 1440p. Sure, maybe a few titles might push it up to 10 or 11 gigabytes, but the 12 gigabytes, honestly, is nothing more than a marketing pitch to try and make you think you're getting more for your money, which you're not. Second of all, the 3060, I'm gonna go ahead and give NVIDIA a little bit of a support in this area, in that when it was announced, AMD also announced their new 6000 series card or whatever that's coming, that's gonna also be probably a 6700 or something like that. It's gonna have probably 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and a lot of people are just like all over both NVIDIA and AMD saying, why the hell are you bringing out new cards when you know they're not gonna be available anyway? Well, if you understand the manufacturing process, then you would know that these lower tiered cards that share the exact same GPU die number, whether it be TU104 or TU102 or TU106, the lower end cards are made from the leftovers of the higher end cards of the wafers in the silicon that didn't meet the cut to be a higher tiered SKU. So what they do is they shave them down even more, they make these lower end cards. So do I fault them for making it and bringing it out during a world pandemic right now, which has also led to the biggest shortage of silicon that we've ever seen in our history? No, because they already have it. So they might as well at least divvy that up amongst their AIBs to come out with these aftermarket cards, which is also probably why you're not seeing a Founders Edition card, because of the fact that all of the silicon went to the AIBs. So that's why I'm not faulting either of these brands for actually bringing out new GPUs that you admittedly are not going to be able to buy. Speaking of buying them, let's go ahead and talk about what the experience was of watching the 9 a.m. rollover happen when things went live. Big surprise, just like everyone else. Best Buy went right from coming soon to out of stock. NVIDIA's own website, when you say check availability, just links you back to Newegg, which then just has nothing but the Newegg shuffle, which is where your name gets tossed in a hat and you have to hope your name gets picked to be able to buy a card rather than actually having a first come, first serve service. No, the guy who signs up last could end up beating the guy who signed up first because of the shuffle, which of all the different ways you could go about purchasing a graphics card, I think it's the stupidest one out there. Unfortunately, I also looked at Micro Center, which is a in-store purchase only, which is where you're gonna have the best bet to actually buy one. Granted, you live close enough to one to go wait in line 2 or 3 hours ahead of the store opening in the morning to hope that you end up getting one of those cards before they're sold out. In terms of stock check, at 9 o'clock in the morning at Tustin, the Tustin, California store, many of the SKUs said 20 plus available, some said 10, some said 5. However, that store doesn't open until 10 a.m., which hasn't happened yet, so I don't know how fast that number is going to go down. However, if we look at the pricing, it's a little bit disturbing, because it's more obvious now than ever that the AIBs themselves, well, I'm gonna say all the AIBs, and we do have an EVGA card here that was sent to us by NVIDIA, not EVGA. This is the only card that seems to be coming in anywhere near MSRP. This one is the EVGA XC. So this is $389 MSRP showing at both Micro Center and I think Best Buy had one in Newegg or whatever. It was the only one under 400 bucks. The other ones are showing in the $500 and the $629 for the PNY 3060. Absolutely ridiculous. Now here's the problem. If you go to NVIDIA's website and you check availability on the SKU for 3060s, rather than NVIDIA selling them through their own store, they're just linking directly back to Newegg. I wonder how much Newegg paid for that, so that according to NVIDIA, the only place to buy it is Newegg, but that's a whole nother problem to talk about. Newegg then shows those cards available under the Newegg Shuffle at the MSRP, $329 for all of those SKUs. However, if you then go to Micro Center or Best Buy, the other brick and mortar stores, you'll find that those same manufacturers and the same cards with slightly tiered differences, like you've got the Ventus card, right? You've got the Twin Frozer card or whatever they're calling it these days from like MSI. You'll find that they're $329 when linked through NVIDIA, but then over $500 when directly going to the brick and mortar stores. So the question is now, who's actually scalping them? Is it the AIB or is it the store? I think there's probably a little bit of guilt on both parties. You probably have the AIBs. I'm holding up the EVGA card unfairly because again, this is the only card that seems to be coming in anywhere near its MSRP. When you've got the stores raising, or the AIBs raising the MSRP of their own card and then the store raising it again because again, capitalism, free market, the thing is worth whatever anyone's gonna pay for it, and in a shortage, people will pay stupid amounts for stupid products. That is what it is. So yeah, if I sound a little salty about that, I'm sharing in your guys' distaste. I'm sharing in your guys' frustration when it comes to buying these cards. And I'm sorry, I don't actually give a flying frick about the 3060. I very rarely care about the 3060 cards, but knowing the fact that the 60 series models now are deep in the $300 MSRP price range and the realistic retail price being almost $600 make these the worst buy of the year. But I still have to show you guys how some of the performance is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do some spot check of the 3060 versus the 3060 Ti, because I want to see how close it gets to it. I'm not even going to compare it to the 2060. I mean, I might in a couple of things. We have some numbers for the 2060. Just to show what that price jump to performance jump is, I think we're going to find that the lowest effort card is just a terrible value right now. All right, so I know I probably seem like I'm being a little bit hard on the 3060. I mean, there's no surprise it was coming. There's been a 60 series card for as long as the NVIDIA cards have basically been around. Well, ever since they ditched the 4-digit moniker. In terms of pricing and value, we have to speak in these ridiculous hypotheticals because we know the MSRP is not what the cards are gonna cost. Again, the EVGA XC Black is basically their closest to MSRP card. And everywhere I've looked so far, I found this for $389. NVIDIA basically swore and promised that there would be cards available at $329. But we already talked about the problem with that. When they link back to Newegg, all of the cards that had the whole $329 price tag with them have the stupid little randomized purchasing option. And then one of them, I think it was the Ventus, was sold out. And then Newegg had other cards available at exorbitant prices. So it's kind of like they basically scratched NVIDIA's back by agreeing to that because of course NVIDIA is going to do what it can on its store, which is just a redirect, to control the pricing. But there's so many other players in this in terms of the stores, the AIB setting their own ridiculous pricing. that at $329, this would have been a really good card, especially when you compare it to the charts that we just showed versus the 2060. Not the 2060 Super, but the 2060. I don't know if there's gonna be a 3060 Super, I doubt it. In fact, one of the reasons why we probably only saw 3080s, 3090s, and 3070s and only a 3060 Ti and not TIs of the other models is the best analogy that Phil kind of put it as is they don't have the inventory to do it themselves. He said NVIDIA basically can print their own money. The problem is they've run out of paper. And I think that makes the most sense here. At $329, I think it would have been a fantastic buy. The 12 gigabytes of VRAM is a marketing gimmick. It is not necessary on this card. 12 gigabytes of VRAM with the memory bus that's available on the 3080 would have made more sense. Why they limited the 3080 to 11 gigs is still beyond me. And then the 3090 jumping all the way to 24 gigs we know is for workstation loads, but remember they also didn't classify that as a true workstation card because they still shaved a lot of the floating point performance out of it, and the Titan RTX is still a better card for various workflows. Depending on, they continue to shave down their workstation cards, right? And the 3090 is just really this true in-between card, making it a really ridiculously overpriced, over VRAM'd gaming card and not a good enough true workstation card. Those that are doing like Blender and stuff, yeah. You're not gonna be doing much mining on this card. Those that are in the know on the mining, when they talked about the specs, were basically saying this card would be a terrible mining card. It would not really pay for itself, especially at the inflated pricing. 3060 pricing now being that of, what's funny? If you go and look at the prices of some of these brick and mortar stores, the price of the 3060 is actually higher than that of the 3060 Ti because you can't buy a 3060 Ti. But because you can buy a 3060, or at least could when we started the video and can't now by the time we got to this point, because all the Micro Center options that I showed here where we had in stock, the second the store opened, it's basically out of stock now. Best Buy also out of stock. NVIDIA's Link's out of stock. Newegg out of stock. Where it was in stock for those few moments, the price was already artificially inflated to a ridiculous price. So what I'm basically trying to say here is I don't really care. I'm so burnt out on graphics cards just like you guys. I've justified so many times saying we review the variants of the cards. That way when you guys can find one, you can at least say, hey, I know which one I want to buy. And if it's worth it for the price that you're able to find it for. We only have one 3060 to look at. I doubt we're gonna get any more to take a look at, especially after this video. And at the end of the day, with the scalping, and when I say scalping, I'm referring to the AIBs themselves because so many of them truly are being their own scalpers and were caught at it, and then they come up with some stupid story trying to defend themselves that are bold-faced lies, to the point to where if you can find one in stock, you gotta start asking yourself now, is the 3060 worth what you would have paid for a 1080 Ti when it first launched? Pascal being, quite honestly, one of the best periods for NVIDIA as far as I'm concerned. Ampere, when we first saw it come out, was supposed to be this saving grace for PC gamers. More performance per dollar than we've ever seen, I think until Pascal actually, and then it beat Pascal in that performance per dollar, which turned out to just be a complete farce, I think that's a word, because of the fact that it's just simply not available. The availability drills all the way down to just the fact that with everything being computerized these days, and even did you know a lot of automotive manufacturing here in the United States and in Detroit, where we technically are still manufacturing some cars, has halted for many brands because of the fact that the ECUs that are needed to complete the assembly of these vehicles are also unavailable because they're all made in these same factories that are creating these SoCs and the wafers and the chips and the raw materials that are needed to build the parts for the cars are also unavailable. So not just gamers. And it's one of those things where right now all manufacturing is being prioritized to the automotive market so that it's considered much more essential than gaming computers. It's gotten to the point to where obviously when you drill down to a lot of these sub-markets, that's why the availability is as poor as it is. So just like you guys, I'm fatigued. I'm really tired of talking about stuff that I know you can't go out and buy. As a product reviewer, I still feel it's my job to talk about it and show you the performance where we can and give you some information to arm yourself with once you finally can go and buy it to make an informed decision. But I'm not gonna fill your inbox with a bunch of 3060 content. It's stupid to do that. There's a lot of videos out there that you can get information from, and I recommend you go and watch those videos if you're interested in learning more about the card and less about my opinion about why I'm just not feeling it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Sound off with your comments about the 3060 and this whole launch fiasco. And right now, my GPU giveaway is probably your best chance at actually getting a graphics card right now. And I'll tell you about that right here. And by the way, I know you guys are probably sick about seeing this at the end of our videos. It's only a few days left, so if you've been holding off, now's the time to sign up. Hey you, before you click off this video, you may or may not be aware, I'm actually doing a worldwide graphics card giveaway where one winner will get to choose either a 6800 XT Merc 319 card from XFX or a 2080 Ti MSI Gaming X Trio from Team NVIDIA. So if you're sitting there right now going, I didn't know about this, how do I enter? Follow the description down below. You guys will find a link to the giveaway video that will give you all the details. Don't wait, because it really sucks to find out about these after they're over.